In the first video, we focused on the understanding the concept behind charges and settlement and how all the pieces fit together. Now let's jump into the SAP system and go through the configuration step by step. Let's get started by creating a freight agreement, but first we configure the freight agreement item type. The freight agreement item type defines what kind of transportation service or pricing entry you are adding inside the freight agreement. Go to Export Transaction, then Transportation Management, Method Data, Agreement and Service Product, and define freight agreement item types. In this screen, select New Entries. Next, define an item type ID and enter a suitable description. Then save it. Now we need to set up the freight agreement type, which defines the category and behavior of the freight agreement document. Go back to the main configuration structure and select Define Freight Agreement Types. In this screen, select New Entries. Next, define an agreement type ID. Enter a description. Select the default text schema. The number range as desired. In this case, I will select the 01. Then let's assign the item type we previously created. Select it as a default type. Now save it, and that's all we need to do here. Now let's set up the scales, which are dimensional parameters used within rate tables to determine freight price. Go to Fury App Charge Management. Select all scales, then New. You can either select a template or continue to create your own scale from the scratch. In General tab, select the scale base. First, we'll choose Country. Go to the Item tab and add Country's ID and calculation type Absolute. Now let's create another scale for quantity. The type will be base scale. The unit measure pieces. Go to Item tab and add a quantity has relative calculation type. Repeat the same step for weight scale, but this time source type will be to scale. The unit measure kilograms. Rounding profile, round up down to 1. In Item tab, provide all the weight values with relative calculation. We have done creating free scale for our rate table. Now let's continue with charge types. Let's configure three different charge types. Go to Customizing Transportation Management, Basic Function, Charge Calculation, Basic Settings, Define Charge Types. Select New Entries. This will be the base freight charges. Now select Charge Category as Basic Freight Charges. Then the Charge subcategory has Freight Charge. Here select a positive value and absolute value. Rounding profile 0000, the first one. And remember to select the charge uses as all, then save. Let's create another one for fuel surcharges. This will be a dependent charge type. In charge category, select the other charges. Charge subcategory, select fuel charges. Positive, negative, put positive or negative value. Put a suitable description here. Let's create another one for handling charges. In charge category, select other charges. In charge subcategory, other charges too. Select positive value and put a description and save it. For the last two charges, I forgot to select the charge uses. Please select the charge uses as all for all of them. Let's create the rate tables. First, we'll start with the base rate table. Go to Rate Table Definition Fury app and select Continue. Go to General Data tab. Define a name. Select Charge Users Service Provider. Then select the charge type, the one we created for base charges. Select the purchasing organization. Next, we need to scale to define the base freight cost based on destination location and gross weight. Then let's find the scale we created for country. The calculation base will be destination location. Now, add the other scale for weight. The calculation base is gross weight. The scale type is U scale and mark the minimum value option. Next, go to the tab Dates and Values. Insert a new line for validated range. I will put valid for a year. Notice that you can add multiple lines, but only one will be valid for a freight charges calculation. Select the currency. Now in Rates tab, go to Display Rates and select all rates combinations. This will display a dimensional table based on your scales items. Now let's fill it up. Enter the cost based on destination location and the gross weight. Go now to Calculation Rules tab and enter the price unit, $1 per kilogram, and save it. For this rate table to be available, we need to release it first. So select the value line and set status released, then save it again. Follow the same steps to create another rate table for fuel surcharges. Charge type will be the one we created for fuel charges. Same purchasing organization. For this rate table, we use a dimension based on source location and destination location. In that way, the fuel cost will be based on the distance traveled. So the reference scale will be the same we created for country. And the first item, the calculation base is destination location. In the second item, we will use source location country. In charge type settings section, select value type as percentage. In Date and Value tab, let's insert a new line for valid range. In Rates tab, let's add the rates cost per combination. Then save it and release it. I did a correction here in the currency, it should be a percentage. Finally, let's create one more rate table for handling charges. Let's select the charge type we created for handling charges. Value type is absolute. Same purchasing organization here. Now insert the scale item with reference to quantity scale we previously created. The calculation base will be quantity value. For scale type, select base scale. Again, insert a line for valid range. In Rate tab, enter the corresponding rate cost. Enter the price unit, then release it and save. Great, we are ready to create a calculation sheet. Go to Create Calculation Sheet Fiori app. Select Continue. Let's define a name and a description for it. Now we are going to insert a line item per each charge type we created. But first, we insert a single line with instruction type sum meaning the result calculation will be the summarization of all line items outcomes. Second line item will be the base charge type. Select the corresponding currency. And the rate table. Remember that you can either add a fixed amount for this charge or make it depending on the rate table, which is our case. Now we add a charge type line for fuel surcharges. In the currency, we insert a percentage sign. Then, in reference from line item number, we indicate the line item which this amount is depending on. In this case, is 20. Now we insert the last item for handling charges. Select the charge type, indicate the currency and the rate table. For handling charges, we need to indicate the calculation resolution by selecting product. Now we are ready to create a freight agreement. Go to Create Freight Agreement Theory app. Select the agreement type we created at the beginning of this video, then continue. Now let's enter a description, the validation dates, purchasing organization, and the carrier who we are doing this agreement for. Insert the items and select the item type we created for this agreement. And the calculation sheet. Below you will see the calculation sheet details. Now, let's release the agreement. Great, it's time to test it out. Go to the freight order and enter the purchasing organization and the carrier. Same carrier from the agreement, of course. Once you have selected these two values, the system will trigger the charge calculation based on this combination. If any freight agreement is found, the charges calculation will be executed. Go to the Charges tab and let's validate the calculation. You can see here the status is calculated and the total amount. Below we can see and analyze how the calculation was made. If any item have a yellow indicator or a red one, that means the calculation was not successful. Then you need to check the calculation logs. In this case, everything is fine. Notice that the total amount is the summarization of each charge type line, but also every line indicates its own calculated amount. For fuel surcharges, remember that the calculation depends on the first line item and it determines a rate percentage from the rate table based on the resulted rate amount from the first line item, which is 25%. Select the line item to see the detail of the calculation line. In calculation rules also you can validate what are the logistical data and calculation based rules. Now that we are sure the calculation is happening correctly, let's to create the freight settlement document. Before we can create the freight settlement document, there is a couple of settings we have to complete. Go to Customizing Transportation Management, Settlement, define settlement profile. Add a new entry here. In Profile category, select Freight Settlement and Save. Now go to Basic Function, Charge Calculation, Basic Settings, and define Charge Profile. Add a new entry. In Freight Settlement Profile, let's select the one we previously created and save it. Now, we need to define the charge profile into our processing organization in organization structure. So go to PPO-ME, search for your purchasing organization. Go to Organization Data tab. In Charge Profile ID field, select the one we created. Great, now we are ready to execute the FSD creation. Go back to your freight order. You can either create the FSD from the work list or directly from the freight order. Good, now we have created the freight settlement document for this freight order. Let's save it. Here you can see the document flow and check the status is ready for accruals, meaning it's ready to be posted. So let's try it. Okay, some configurations are missing and that's okay because it's the purpose of this. Let's check how to complete them. Go to Customizing, Transportation Management, Settlement, Freight Settlement, Integration for Settlement Posting, External Service Management, and assign purchasing information for posting. We need to validate that FSD type is linked to the MM providing the PO basic information, PO document type, material group, plan, and purchasing group. Go back to Assign Service Master Record and Account Assignment category. Here we provide the charge details we are using in the calculation sheet to be linked to the activity number. This number should be provided by the MM functional, and it is nothing but the number which links the valuation class with the GL account. So let's add them. To check the activity number, go to the AC03 transaction. This is important to know when you have an issue trying to post in FSD. Some errors will indicate a financial data inconsistency, and you can start reviewing from here providing the evaluation class. Now that we have finished the settings, let's try to post it. Go to FSD work list, select the document and post. The posting process is triggered, but it is an asynchronous action, meaning that you will have a message the document is queued and is needed to refresh to see the document is successfully posted. Great, the posting action was completed successfully. You can see the document flow, the document was created, a PO and service entry sheet document. If any of these documents are not created, it means something might happen, and normally you will get a message in the application log section in the FSD to investigate the issue. Let's review the PO document. Here you can see the total amount corresponding to the amount calculated in the FO. But if you go back to the service entry sheet document, you will see more details about the charges you are posting. And well, this is it. We have completed the demonstration of charge and settlement process in SAP TM. I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps keep this channel growing. If you have any question or would like me to cover a specific scenario, leave a comment below. See you in the next video.